Hey, Kurt Curtis coming at you from the Full Octane Garage, and today's project is going to be cleaning up the door gaps on the 63 split window and filling a couple of pieces of fiberglass that may not have existed before. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to show you a little bit about the product that we use and the process, and I'll show you kind of where the final piece is coming up. What we've done already is we've done some of the bonding work, and I'll show you a little bit about what that looks like. So let's get right to it. Okay, the products that we use are the West Systems. West System is an epoxy resin that really appears to be odorless when we use it. And we use the 105 epoxy resin system. We use the 205 fast hardener because it hardens within about 4 hours. It gives you about, well, if you don't have it glopped up, you can actually have a working time of 30-40 minutes probably, sometimes a little less. And then we use the high density filler, which is the 404, and also the low density filler, which is 407, and that's for more smoothing stuff out a little bit. So if we open this up, this is basically shredded fiberglass that we mix in with the resin, and this is a red color, and it's a little bit thinner density so that it sands and feathers a little bit better. This is pretty much an old mix cup that we did. We use these mixing blades to mix it up. The beauty of the West System is that when you have these pump systems on here, one pump of the resin and one pump of the hardener into a cup, mix it up, and it's a perfect fit every time. You don't have to do the little drops and count drops and things like that. We still do have some old school fiberglass for large areas. It dries a little bit quicker than the West System. You can control the hardener a little bit better. Okay, we use 3 to 4 pumps of 105, 3 to 4 pumps of 205, and we start out with a measured amount about like this. Pour it in to the cup. We mix it up until it gets a consistency of about peanut butter. You don't want it to drip off of the stick when you lift it up. You want it fairly thick. So we'll go over to the car and show you what it looks like after it's been applied. Now, we had an issue with the top door gap not being tight enough, so what we had to do was add some to the top of the door, and what we did is we just took masking tape and ran it underneath the bottom edge, and then we took our fiberglass filler and extended the gap across the top. What we're going to come back with is an 80 grit sander, and we're going to take the tape off. This is already dried. Once we take this tape off, we'll take an 80 grit sanding disc and we will sand this down and keep closing the door for fitment until we see that we have the proper gap. And my proper gap today is going to be pretty much about a paint stick's width. We may have to make it a tad wider, but we're going to start out with a paint stick's width and get that all tightened up. We also had a little bit of an issue in the front door area where we had to build some up also. So this is in the same position. We're going to grind that down and get this door gap a little bit tighter. And that's the beauty with this epoxy resin. It has a very strong bonding agent. So I mean, this is a lot of filler, and I can bend this down, and I'm putting a ton of pressure on this, and it is not breaking off. So when we get 1/8 of an inch, all we're trying to grow this is about 1/8 of an inch anyways. There's just not a clean way to do it. So we'll grind the rest of this down to about 1/8 of an inch. Close the door, see how it fits. We had to expand the door gaps a little bit, tighten door gaps up here. We've already done the top. We were missing a little bit of fiberglass up here, so we've done that. And same thing on this lower area of the door. So what we'll do is we'll get to do some grinding, we'll do some test fitting, and we'll come back and take a little bit of video after it is looking good. We can do fast shaping with a grinding wheel with an 80 grit floppy disk, and then around here we should have our air device, and we have an air grinder with an 80 grit disc on it, and this is really used for more shaping and blending. So if you don't want to take a lot of material off, you can use a lesser grade like a 120 disc. We've started getting the gaps on the doors a little bit better. Still got a little bit more filling to do, but they're looking a lot better. Had to fill a little bit more in this back gap, the top, just a little bit there. But all of this is starting to actually look really, really good. Thanks for being with us. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Come back often, and we'll have more on Project One Cool 63 coming up.